Hi, guys. This is Dan Grieb with Integrity Performance Coaching. I'm here today with our September client spotlight with one of our amazing clients, Charles Bailey. Charles, how you doing?
I'm too blessed to be stressed. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. And that is one of the things that we hear a lot from you, that you're too blessed to be stressed. So, Charlie, today we're going to do a quick, 30-minute interview about you, about your coaching experience, about how things have been before you started coaching and what it looks like afterwards. Does that sound fair enough?
Sounds great.
All right, do you mind if we jump right in?
Sure.
All right, great. Well, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be listening to this in the future, as well as folks that are logging on right now. They do have questions. I may reach out and answer a few of their questions as well. But as we get started, let's start with, tell us about you. Where are you from?
So I'm from Houston, Texas, originally live in Midland, Texas, now with my wife and two kids.
So you got a wife and two kids. How long have you been married?
Last month, we celebrated 11 years of marriage.
Wow, 11 years. That's an awesome accomplishment. And what do you do for a living?
I'm a financial planner for Morgan Stanley.
So you're a financial planner with Morgan Stanley. And how long have you been involved in financial planning?
I'm starting my 10th year.
10th year. Awesome. So walk me through how you decided to become a financial planner and what you did before that.
Great question. So actually, originally, I always wanted to be a baseball player and went to college to play baseball. And sophomore year of college, realized that I was not going to make it to the pros. So I retired from baseball and decided business was something I was going to get into. But I didn't really have direction on what that looked like. I just knew if I had a business degree, that would open up a lot of different avenues. And so fast forward to senior year, my wife took me back to her hometown in Midland to introduce me to some of her friends and tell them, this is the guy I'm marrying. And I met, which is now my current business partner, Philip Knight. And he told me what he did, how he helped clients, that it was a great career opportunity and that you could take care of clients and make a chunk of money doing so. And I thought, hey, that's something I can do. And I looked into it. Well, once I graduated, we had some different job opportunities. My wife became a teacher, and then I became a banker at Citibank, and realized I hated every second of that because I didn't really get the folks. And that was going on in the financial crisis. So I graduated college in December of 2008. So came out in a great market environment to try to get a job, and got on with Citibank. And then a year later, financial firms started hiring again. So I started applying and ended up at Edward Jones and been doing financial planning and advising ever since.
Awesome. So roughly how old are you?
Roughly, I will be 34 on Monday of next week.
That's right. Happy birthday. You got a birthday coming up on Monday. So happy birthday to you. You'll be 34 years old. And let's talk about 2018. What did your goals look like in 2018? What was important to you in 2018?
2018, my business goal was to bring in 12 million in net new assets. And so that's $1 million in new dollars every month. And my goal, that was the big goal for business. And then on the personal side, I had a lot of personal goals. I wanted to have 52 date nights with my wife, wanted to lose 30 pounds, wanted to read 36 books. Mainly that was it. Wanted to read my Bible cover to cover. Those were the personal goals that I had for 2018.
All right. And so how did you do in 2018 in terms of hitting your $12 million net new revenue goal, your 52 date nights, losing the 30 pounds, reading the Bible cover to cover, and reading the 36 books? How did you end up doing that year?
So I brought in 13.2 million for business side of things. So I hit that goal. I had 52 date nights. I hit that. I think I took that down to the wire the last week of December, but I hit that. I think I gained 5 pounds. So that one did not happen. I read the Bible from cover to cover. And then the last one, I think I read 22 books is where I ended up. So not quite where I needed to be.
Okay. So you're at 30 a year ago. You're 32, 33 years old. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you are hitting your financial goal. Actually, you exceeded it by $1 million. You're getting it all right with your wife. You're going on 52 date nights. I'm assuming your wife has to like you if you are actually getting past like 20 date nights. So congratulations on that. You didn't hit your weight goal. You still read the Bible cover to cover, and you read a bunch of books, a lot. You almost hit that goal. Why in the world do you need a coach? Why would you in 2019 decide to hire a coach?
Good question. So fast forward to May of 2019, I still had the $12 million goal from last year because that's just the goal I knew. I didn't think of what could be achieved. It was just, hey, this is what I've always done. And I got to the end of December. It's like, hey, I have to have a goal because I've always been into personal development and I've always knew that I needed to better myself. But I just went back to the old habit of, hey, I did 12 million last year. Like, let's just put that goal in place. And then, but May hit me. I met a guy named Jeff Woods, who is the vice president of the One Thing with Keller Williams. And he came to a workshop in Midland. And I remember, and I'm not going to try to get emotional on this call, but I remember sitting there and looking at my goals for 2019. And I realized that my wife wasn't on any of them. And that was a turning point for me. And that as far as priority, I was putting everything on business and just myself instead of steering to grow that relationship with my wife. And it struck me at that point that you can't get away from the basics. Yeah, I did 52 date nights last year, but it hadn't become a habit. And so what am I going to do this year? And so I met Jeff Woods and I went up to him and I said, hey, do y'all do any coaching for the One Thing? And he said, if you're with Keller Williams, you do internal coaching. I was like, I'm not with Keller Williams. And he's like, oh, yes, all day. Let me send you a contact for Dan Grieve and his partner, Charlotte Savoy. And so I called Dan and talked to him and got with a coach because I finally put my money where my mouth was. I've always talked to buddies about personal development. You need to do this, or you need to do that, but I've always yin-yanged. I mean, I'll do really good for 3 weeks and then do poorly for 2 weeks and then vice versa. And so I finally committed to hiring a coach back in May. And since May, I have had clarity on having more date nights with my wife. I've revamped a lot of goals for the year. We changed the goal from 12 million in net new to 18 million in net new for the year, which was so out there for me. And I'm on pace right now to hit it. I still have some work to do over the next 4 months.
Let's stop you there because you said a lot. You said a lot and a lot of great stuff there. So let's recap a little bit here so we can break it down piece by piece. Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So 2018, for most of the people that are going to be watching this, you hit all your financial goals, right?
Right.
Then when it comes to your marriage, you went on 52 date nights. That's another fact, right?
Right.
Okay. You started feeling some success. You started feeling the momentum of your business. You attend a One Thing seminar and you look down at your goals and you realize that my wife's not part of my goals anymore. It sounds to me like you started going through the motions. You just set up the same goal that you had the year before. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You know, and as you had mentioned before when we had spoken, you said you felt like even your date nights were kind of like in a rut. You were checking a box. There was like not as much variety around it. It wasn't giving you the flavor that you were hoping you were getting. You were just kind of doing things. Is that correct too?
That's correct.
All right. And so then you decided to hire a coach. We got you lined up with one of our coaches here at Integrity Performance Coaching. And then all of a sudden you get with a coach and your mentality shifts a little bit, specifically around your economic goal. You went from $12 million in net new assets to how much again?
18 million is the goal.
18 million is the goal. Fast forward all the way up to the last quarter of the year, and you feel like you're on track to do that.
Oh yeah. So last year I would have set at 12 million for this year before coaching, and as of right this second, I'm at 11.4 million.
Okay, so you've already basically hit last year's goal in the beginning of September.
Yes, and I've only been coaching since May.
And you've only been coaching since May. That's very interesting. Now we're going to dig deeper into these other areas, but let's stay to this one for just a second. How did you and your coach end up coming to this goal of 18 million? Why didn't you guys just stay at 12 or just bump it up to 13?
We're talking to my coach. He actually put it at 24 million at first.
He doubled it. Okay.
It doubled it, which I was like, hold on, dude. We just started this relationship. You need to tap the brakes. And because 24 million, 18 million is a stretch. As far as the 12 million goal, I've hit that twice in the last 4 years. So I've only hit it 50% of the time. So even to go to 18 million is still a stretch for me. But 24 million was just unheard. I just couldn't think of that. And talking to my coach, he was able to talk me out. He showed me a technique real quickly on the very first coaching call that he was able to talk me out of that goal very, very quickly within probably 10 seconds. But on the 18 million, we were able to talk, and that was more realistic. That was something that I knew I could achieve if I put in the work, whereas 24 just seemed too far out there. And so that's how we landed on the 18 million, because 24, like my coach said, if you don't think it's realistic whatsoever and it's so far out there, then it won't motivate you to go and try to achieve it. And so,
all right, so you and your coach set this goal at 18 million in net new assets. So when we understand what that means in your world, that means if you lose $1 million, like someone decides to take $1 million out of their portfolio, then you now have to add $2 million, the million from the month before that you were targeting for. Actually, wasn't it like 1.8 million per month or something, or 1.5 million per month? Now you have to add 2.5 million. Is that correct? That's a net new asset goal, right?
That's correct. Yes. And that's how I look at business. Because if you bring in 100 million and 99 million walks out the door, you only brought in $1 million. So,
okay. So you and your coach came up with a mutually agreed upon goal based on your language, based on your strategy, so you can accomplish what you wanted economically. Now, how
correct.
do you, all right, now you've never had a coach before this, is that correct? In terms of like a business coach like this? Okay. How do you and your coach communicate about your goals? In terms of the frequency, how does that work?
Sure. So we have a standard coaching call every Wednesday from 12:30 to 1 o'clock. And he calls me at 12:30 on the dot, almost every Wednesday, unless he's out of town or if I'm out of town, and then we reschedule for another day. But he calls me every Wednesday at 12:30, and we talk for 30 minutes. And he brings up what's most important to me as far as my goals and checks in. And then what I love about the coaching, and I've told my friends about this, is that my coach is always thinking of things that I'm not thinking of, because I'm in the grind. I'm doing my normally daily routines. I'm trying to bring in net new assets. I'm having meetings. He makes me think of things that I'm not thinking of already, because he has an unbiased opinion. I mean, he's trying to help me reach my goals that I've told him that I have for 2019. So whenever I tell him I want to do something sweet for my wife every day, he checks in on that. So I've done 110 days in a row as of today.
Right. 100. So we're going to get to that. Let's stay to this economic. Right. We're going to go on to this piece here in a second. So awesome for you. So every week you sit down with your coach, you guys go through a scorecard and you say, okay, my goal is this. And you have a specific goal that you're supposed to hit per month. And you guys are tracking it on a weekly basis to know whether you're on track or off track. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Now, who fills out that scorecard? Do you fill out that scorecard, or does your coach fill out that scorecard?
I fill out the scorecard.
Okay, so it's up to you, and it makes your goals visible every week. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So you now literally have your goals sitting right in front of you every week, and your coach is shining a spotlight and saying, okay, what's our goal? What's our goal? What's our goal? And then you have to go in and fill it out and say, this was the goal, this is the action I said I would take, and this is the action I've taken. We call that goals versus actual, correct?
Yes.
So in the short time you've been in coaching, what have you learned just based on that goals versus actual strategy with a scorecard?
Well, the biggest thing is just it's top of mind. It's always there. Whenever I'm not doing what I need to do at the office or something got me sidetracked, I'm always thinking about, okay, how am I going to make this up? because I'm going to have to talk to my coach and give him the update next Wednesday. So that's what the biggest thing. It's the accountability factor. Is every Wednesday you're going to have to report in, and I don't want to let my coach down. I mean, also, I don't want to let my family down because I'm paying for the coaching. So I don't want, if my wife went and spent the money that I'm spending on coaching on something else, then, and was just, and not doing what she said she was going to do, I'd be pissed. So it's me showing up and talking to my coach, and I know his time is valuable. So I don't want to let him down either. And so, although I'm paying him, but at the end of the day, it keeps it in front of me at all times. And so, and I've been working on it. I'm going into my 4th month of coaching now, but I'm now at a point where I'm looking at them every day and updating them.
All right. So you're updating your scorecard on a regular basis every week with your coach. Stay invisible to it. And the mere fact that you have to tell somebody, hey, this was my goal. This is what I said I would do. And this is what I did. That accountability alone is doing a large percentage of the lifting. It's keeping you motivated. It's keeping you in the game, because truth be told, in your mid 30s, if you bring in $12 million financially, you're going to be all right. The other $6 million that you're going to do, that's gravy, really, right?
That is correct. Absolutely.
However, you have paid for someone to be the CEO of your life and say, nope, not acceptable. We made a commitment. We have to keep going. Got that little angel on your shoulder, devil on your shoulder, that's always in your ear saying, no, Charlie, we can do better. We can do better. 12 million, that's it. Why don't we go for 24 million? We could do 24 million. And the language even that you and I are using on this call isn't you can do 24 million. It's what? We can do 24
million. We can do 24 million. That's right.
Right. And that's the conversation week after week you're having. I love that. So let's shift gears here a little bit. And again, congratulations on hitting all your economic goals. But for you, you made it very clear with your coach right out of the gate. Hey, listen, what you use a Bible verse, I think you did, or your coach did, said something along the lines of, what is it worth to gain the world if I have to sell my soul to do it? What is it worth if I make all the money, but I lose my marriage? That was very important to you, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So you actually said, I want you to hold me accountable to my personal goal, acts of service to my wife, making sure that I show up as the right dad and the right husband. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
All right. So how in the hell does that happen in business coaching? Is that even real? Walk me through that.
Well, I think with my coach specifically is that he knows that the same thing that I know. If you make all this money and business is fantastic, but your marriage is crumbling, the business will suffer at some point. That's going to happen. So, or if you die on your deathbed and you made all this money, but you have no relationships and no one shows up to your funeral. So my business coach was like-minded as I was on that front, which I appreciate a lot. So, and my business coach is a believer. So we have that in common. But he knew that, you can make all the money in the world, but if you don't have a relationship with your wife, that's not good, or your kids. And that will, no matter what people say, that will bleed over into business at some point. Maybe not now, but it will. And I'm not willing to, I want both of them. I want an amazing marriage with my wife and be an amazing dad to my kids and still do very well in business. And you can't have both. You just have to be really intentional. And that's what my coach has been, just not letting me forget. Hey, you have to be intentional. These are the goals. This is what we talked about. What are you doing? Oh, and by the way, what you're doing is great. Let's tweak it. Let's take it to the next level. Like my coach, you may have a question, but he asked, what about the acts of service that you're doing with your wife? How do you know if she even likes that stuff?
Great question.
How do you know if you doing the dishes she even appreciates? So now we have a weekly check-in every Wednesday night at 9:30, where I ask her, where am I hitting the mark? Where am I missing the mark? What's your schedule look like? And it's funny actually, because I'm a financial planner, but I was doing some marriage counseling this morning with some clients. And that was the first thing I told them is, you guys need to have a weekly check-in. And they laughed. And so I think they're going to start doing it.
Well, good for you. So you're already taking this relationship with your with the things you're learning from your coach and you're applying them to your business, but you're also giving them as a benefit to others. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, great. So I just have a few more questions here for you.
Sure.
One of them that I wrote down here is, what has been the biggest impact in your business and in your life as a result of coaching?
I only get one thing, huh? Probably the
Well, I
biggest.
mean, you can have a couple.
No. The biggest thing would be focusing on the one thing that matters and what drives business. And that's lead, well, in the realtor word, lead generation. In my word, it's talking to elephants, people that can bring me dollars or can refer somebody that becomes a new client. And so the biggest thing for me is setting a time block on my calendar to have a set amount of time that I go and call clients and prospective clients to try to generate new business. And when I'm not doing it, I know that little voice in my, on my shoulder from my coach is like, hey, are you doing what you need to be doing right now? So it's the biggest thing has been the accountability is what it's been. And the other side, I'm actually paying somebody to keep me accountable. I'm in finance. I look at the budget all the time. I run numbers for clients all the time. And what I pay, I could be spending that money on my wife, my kids, putting it in my 401k, putting it for my college education. Like that's not lost on me. It is a commitment, but I'm willing to grow and learn, and I want to pay somebody to keep me accountable. Because I know I've tried to do it with buddies in the past. I have an accountability group on Wednesdays with two of my friends, and we check in with each other and see how we're doing, but it's not coaching. It's not even a mentor relationship. Some people have mentors and they bounce ideas off of them, but it's not the same. Coaching is totally different. And now that I've done it for several months, it's nothing like I've ever done in the past.
Love that. And here's what I'm hearing you say is, as a result of having a coach in your life, there's been this product development that has occurred, and you're the product development. Right now, if I was to ask you, do you think you could do $18 million every year for the rest of your career? What are your thoughts behind that minimum of 18 million?
Absolutely. Yes.
And you've all of a sudden now 12 million is like not even, that is your 6-month goal for next year, right?
Yeah.
So watch you're leveling up as a businessman. But one of the things we say at Integrity Performance Coaching that really matters, and I want you, obviously I know you know this, but I want the folks that listen to this later to know this too, is that we're not teaching business principles. We're teaching life principles that apply to business. We actually get offended if you attempt to compartmentalize the ideas that we're sharing with you for only the benefit of your business. If you do not take it home and be a better dad, a better mom, a better husband, a better wife, a better member of your community, a better member of your family, then we're actually offended by that, because we want you to have it all. And see, even on this call, I know something that you almost passed by me, and I'm not going to let it go by. We've talked about your marriage. That's important to you. We've talked about your business. That's important to you. You're killing it in that. I heard that you just recently had some commitments with your coach, even this week, around your health. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So I have 4 months left of the year, and I went to Disney for 2 weeks ago and did not work out and ate like crap. And that's just kind of continued. And so I made a deal with my coach. So this today's Thursday. So yesterday we talked, and if I don't work out 7 days out of the next 7 days, I either have to write him a check for $500 or I have to do 100 burpees straight with my wife videoing it and send a video, which, like I told my coach, I'd die if I tried to do 100 burpees in a row like this second. So at 6 a.m. this morning, I got out of bed, and based on my coach's the nighttime success ritual that we went through the night before last, I had my workout clothes and my shoes right there by in the bathroom, and grabbed them, put them on, and went and worked out for 30 minutes this morning. So 2 days down out of my 7 this week.
All right, let's talk about a little bit about that.
Okay.
Prior to the call, I asked you a few questions, so I know a little bit more about this. you and your coach went over something that you guys titled your morning ritual. And we
Yes.
talked, and if I understand that correctly, it's something we teach here at Integrity Performance Coaching. We teach a morning ritual. First thing that we go over is, when does your day start? And so what was your answer to that? What was your original answer to that?
My original answer, I think, was at 6 a.m. And my coach said, wrong.
Okay. And
then,
what was the actual answer?
Oh, the actual answer was the night before.
The night before. And so now, as a result of this one coaching call, and again, that doesn't sound like a business coaching call to me. Obviously, it's a life principle that applies to business. It applies to everywhere. How are you organizing your life now using your morning ritual, which actually starts the night before?
Well, so the night before at 9:45, I get everything ready for the next morning. So I laid out my suit and the shirt that I was going to wear, the tie I was going to choose, the belt I was going to wear, my cufflinks, all of it. It's all one little bitty area the night before. So I don't even have to think about it. And then I put my workout clothes right there on the bathtub, right next to our closet. And they were right there ready to go. So the first thing when I got up in the morning and I walked into the bathroom to turn my alarm off at 6 a.m. this morning, my stuff's right there. So I have no excuse to not put it on and go work out.
Awesome. All right, great. So just a few more questions. We're almost done here. I'm going to keep you for another 3 minutes max. Thank you, everybody that's tuning in. I've got a ton of questions that have come in. I've asked some of those along the way here. I got a question that came in that I thought was really interesting. We've talked a lot about your wife. And
Okay.
one of the folks typed in this question, and they wanted to know this. What does your wife think about coaching? You being in coaching? Because I would suspect some spouses are like, well, wait a minute, you're going to spend what on to do coaching? They like to talk to somebody on the phone for a couple. What does your wife think about it now?
Well, at first she was very skeptical. Very reserved and didn't want to do it. Actually, she's like, that's a lot of money for coaching. And so she actually talked to my coach directly.
Oh, wow. She interviewed your coach directly.
And said, what are you going to do that generates this much value for my family? Hold on. I'm sorry, Dan.
Go ahead.
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
a busy man.
Miss Alvin's on the phone. You have time to talk to her.
I'll call her back in 10 minutes. Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem. You're a busy man. There's money coming in the door.
So I hope so. So she talked to my coach and said, hey, I mean, there's a lot of money, and why are you going to, make him a better person? Why should we pay this? And he was frank. He said, if I can make your husband a better husband or a better father or a better business person, is it worth this cost? And she said, yeah, absolutely. So I made a deal with her when we got off the phone. I collect all-star baseballs, team signed all-star baseballs. And I told her I'm going to do 3 months. And if you don't see a difference in me from coaching in business and in my personal relationship with you as a dad, if you don't see it, I'll cancel coaching and I'll sell my baseballs to cover whatever that cost might be. And so we made a deal. And 3 months later, she said, you still going to do your coaching? And I said, what, am I a better husband? Better? She's like, absolutely. I said, then yes, I am. And I'm not selling my stinking baseballs either.
So no baseballs have been sold. All right, great. So wrapping this all up, you've been in coaching for not a year, for a couple of months, 4 or 5 months here. And you've already reset your goal to basically 50% more than you had at the beginning of the year. And you're on track to hit that. You are now realistically having real date nights with your wife where they're meaningful, and you're talking to your coach about it. You're on your weight loss journey. You're doing that. You've done the several vacations. You've been away with the kids. You've shown up as the father you need to be. You've done 100 straight days, 100 plus straight days of acts of service. Your life is coming together as a result of this investment you made. Earlier, you said, I could invest my money in my kids. I could invest it in something for my wife. I could invest it in my in my retirement. I believe that's what you said. And I would challenge you to say you did. You did make that investment. You did invest it in your kid. You did invest it in your wife. You did invest it in your retirement by hiring someone that's kind of come along with you. And when you lack the enthusiasm, when you lack the resolve, they say, borrow some of mine.
Yep, that's right.
Take some of my resolve. I'll help you get there. You know, you hired a CEO, COO of your life and your business to help you accomplish the goals that were truly important to you. And I love that you've leaned in so much. And that's the reason why we wanted to spotlight you as our first client on our monthly client spotlight. So congratulations to you for all your success. Before we go, I want to just say this. There's a lot of people that are going to watch this. They're going to have the fears, the skepticism. You know, what could one person do in my life? What could the accountability of me telling somebody about my goals? I could do that with a friend. I could do that with a coworker. You know, and they're going to be skeptical. For the person that's on the fence that doesn't know about coaching, what would you tell them? What advice would you give them as we kind of wrap up here?
I just tell them if your heart is telling you to do it or is pulling on you, you're already somebody that wants to overachieve and get better. And all the personal development books and all of those things are fantastic. But until you have somebody that's holding your feet to the fire every single week, and you're paying that person to be that individual, because you do it with friends, it's a different dynamic. I mean, it's a different dynamic. I mean, even with my buddies, I've had a few different accountability groups. One gets to start talking about this, and then next thing you know, we're talking about fantasy sports. So with my coach, that doesn't happen. It's all about what are your goals, what are you doing to achieve them, and how are you getting better, and how can we tweak this to make you better. And so I tell you to do it. I mean, obviously, I wish I would have done a lot sooner. I'm very excited to see what the next couple of months bring and years. I mean, I plan to have a coach for as long as possible. And the thing is, when you look at the high achievers, everybody has coaches. Tiger Woods has coaches. The best baseball players in the world have coaches. The CEOs have coaches. They have mentors. I mean, everybody has coaches. And so, or at least the top athletes do, the top business people do. And so it's time to finally step up and do it. And then once you're doing the coaching, like there's no other higher lever than that. I mean, you have truly taken that step to say, I'm going to get better and I'm going to have somebody walking alongside with me and do it. And I'd say you should have done it 6 months ago.
Oh, rock on. Well, hey, I greatly appreciate that. You are an all-star. You are doing the things, and I'm, honored to have you here in Integrity Performance Coaching, being coached for one of our coaches. It is awesome that Charlotte does a specific onboarding call with every one of our clients so that she matches the right coach up to the right client so that they are a match. It sounds like you are a great match with your coach and that things are happening just as they should. This coaching relationship is going great. For those of you that are watching this, that are in business, that either business or work in business or need some type of business or performance coaching, feel free to reach out to me directly. You can leave a note here, leave me a private message. And if you'd like some financial assistance advice, if you are in the Midland, Texas area and you'd like to even go visit Charlie, how do they get a hold of you?
So they can call me directly. I give them their number, or we have a website. It's the Fidelis Group at Morgan Stanley. So if they just do the Fidelis Group Google search, it'll come out as the Fidelis Group at Morgan Stanley. Awesome. And I'm on the website, and my contact info is there and emails there. So
you can feel free to give your email right here. Just go ahead and offer your email right now.
So email is just my first name, Charles, CHARLES.Bailey, BAILEY at morganstanley.com.
All right. So Charlie, it's been an honor to spend this time with you. Thank you so much. You're killing it. Keep killing it. I want to have you on in a year from now. And I want you to talk about how your marriage has leveled up even more. Your relationship with your kids has leveled up even more. You've got a six-pack. You're closing $25 million in net new assets a year. And everything's continuing to expand, and you are still on this trajectory. And again, If you'd like to have the results that Charlie's having, if you'd like to have a coach come and walk side by side with you, or you just like to have a consultation to see if it's even possible because you're not sure if your business fits or if you're the right person, reach out to me directly via my website, which is coachipc.com, www.coachipc.com, or you can reach out to myself or my partner, Charlotte Savoy, via Facebook. And of course, my email is dan@coachipc. It's been a pleasure. We're signing off from our first client spotlight with the amazing Charles Bailey. Have a great day. God bless you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.